It's showtime.
Fuck off.
Oh, why do you gotta ruin the entries like that? Let's try and keep it somewhat professional on this talk show. Newt.
Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life Podcast.
Good. Welcome to the Towing Life Podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I am your host, TowManG, and as usual, I am joined by my co-host, friend, and former co-worker, the man with very strong opinions himself, Mr. PlainGuy.
What is going on, G? What is going on?
Oh, you know, living the fucking dream.
Living the dream. Somebody's nightmare, somebody's dream.
Yeah, wake up screaming, you know.
You been busy up that way or what?
Yes, we have been. The snow started flying again a little bit, and people forgot how to drive. And I don't know what it is, but everyone wanted their cars moved that have been sitting for like a year right after Christmas, which kind of just dumbfounded me.
Oh, I know. The snow hit, and the snow hit with a pretty good vengeance early. And man, has it, like, it's just early. It's just really, really early. And
but is it though? We're into the new year.
Man, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. This year has seemed absolutely crazy. We're just in it. Absolutely crazy. It's the 6th of January. We've had the cold snap already. We've had the snow snap already. We've had it all. And I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. But you know what? I think after last year, we had a pretty dry winter up this way. I think this year is definitely going to make up for it the way it's going at this rate.
Well, I mean, when I remember when I was a kid, we had snow come down just after Halloween there, and it would normally stay all year long until like the end of February, March time. And the last 5-10 years even, it's been you get a bit, it would melt. You get a bit and it would melt, at least in Ontario where we are. Yep. And it just kind of sucks, right?
Yep. And like I said, it's normally not this early though, right? Like the last 5 years, you can admit, has not been this early of cold or snow. So it's nice to see. It kind of brings you back to the closer to our childhood when, I remember snow days in November and everything else. Being in the industry though, man, it takes a much bigger toll. Yeah. Well, they got online learning now. Yeah. They don't have a need for it. Those poor kids will not understand what a snow day is. No. And to me, that is so disappointing.
If I was in school right now, I would not be doing good. I would not be doing good. You want me to sit down in front of a computer and do schoolwork? No, I'd probably end up doing a podcast or something. Screw that.
You can tell your teacher, look, it's all right. I got it figured out. I'm all good. I'm all good. But no, before we get too deep into it, guys, as always, every week we remind you, if you guys have any subjects, questions, comments on the show, you can let us know. You can call us at 249-666-2209. We're working on a way to integrate those phone calls and actually get them onto the show. So for those who have left messages, we appreciate it. We will get to it shortly. You can email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com or by searching us on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. You can also find us at www.towinglife.ca. Your questions, input, experience, everything, always welcome. We say it every week. We mean it every week. It is always welcome. So thank you guys for that so far. We'll have to do a special episode with just feedback, just questions, just feedback, all that good stuff. I think it would be, great to do. And I think we should find a way to try and integrate that in. So guys, get it in. We will try and do it over the next couple of weeks. We are still looking to book a guest in a couple of weeks. We do have something planned. We've got big announcements coming. We've talked about it'll be pushed back to February. We kind of teased it before Christmas saying we got some good news. the good news keeps on rolling in. So keep an eye out as we move into February for that, guys. We will definitely be, letting you know what's going on. I'm excited, G. I don't know about you, but I'm jacked tonight. I'm just wound up tonight, and I don't know why. I don't know
all that
why.
good powder, all that snow out there, all that white fluff.
You know what? I think that's what happened. We had the white fluff. We were swamped. We were busy. It was a little milder today. It was a little quieter. It kind of, good chance to recharge a little bit. It wasn't, the guy's been running hard. That's for sure. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
Reminder that
I'm
it's here.
fairly low on energy. I just my pickup broke down going to work the other day. Left me stranded on the side of the road, which was nice. Took that to the dealership. Still got warranty. They got to reseal the timing cover, and I had a front bearing that I was about to let go. And funny enough, if you got warranty on it, they won't replace it if it's about to blow. No, it's got to blow before they'll replace it under warranty, which is nice.
We had that on our Ford. It was there was a recall on the transmission, so it went in for the recall, and it was one of the drums in the transmission. I can't remember what it was. An F450. The 550 had the same recall. Whatever transmission Ford was running in those trucks, but part of it was that when they put it back together, they go, "We're pretty sure your oil pan gasket or your tranny pan gasket is seeping, but keep an eye on it, and if it's leaking, come back and we'll replace it." And it ended up leaking. Of course it did. It was leaking. It was seeping. The guy put enough brake clean on it to, clean the whole underside of the truck. And woke up the next day, had some drips, booked it back in, talked to the technicians when I was there. And I said, okay, let me get this straight. So why didn't you just put a new gasket on it? When you were putting it back together after doing this drum in the transmission, they said, well, that's not covered under the warranty, under the recall. So part of the recall is not to replace the transmission gasket, but it's covered if it leaks.
Yeah.
So, why even bother? These warranty things, these recall things, where's the logic behind it? This is the same guys who are engineering boosting points that you can't get booster cables on. You can only use the little alligator clips.
Yeah.
Right? That you can't use your big GB70 or your Mac tool, whatever you're running for, even full-size cables, you can't get on the connections.
Yeah. It's like
the same engineers.
They have to pull the cab off to be able to do this job, and they got to pull half the motor apart. They're like, well, we've got to we're pretty much taking all the oil out of the motor to be able to do this job, so you're going to have to pay for an oil change because your oil change isn't covered. I was like, well, you got to pretty well do it. I was like, you know what, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You change the oil, even change the fuel filters, because I do them both at the same time. There's no sense of me overrunning my fuel filter waiting for my next oil change. So there's going to be another $900 dropped at warranty work, because why not? It's there.
Oh man, yeah, they keep making these cars. You know what I mean? Just it's like I said, the procedures and the policies that they have, plus the the way they're engineering these things, they make you how many tow truck drivers pissed off engineers in their life when they were growing up, that when they went to work for these car manufacturers, they said, you know what? That guy that bullied me back in high school as a tow truck operator, watch this. I swear that's how it feels like they come up with some of their ideas sometimes.
You got to pull the front tire off and the whole inner fender just to change the battery. Why?
Oh, the Chryslers.
Yeah.
The Chryslers.
Yeah.
Acura.
Why are you putting the electronic heart of the car that close to upspray and road grime and shit?
I'm not even upset about that so much as I am. It's a replaceable part, right? Some of these headlights now.
Oh,
you got to take the whole front end apart to change a headlight.
Yeah.
You remember when Ford had, and I'm really hating and loving on Ford at the same time, but they used to have those two little tabs on the Ford Ranger. It was two little tabs you would pull up and the whole headlight would pull out. And then you could take it off your hand. It was easy to change. It was simple. It was great. Now you take the grill, you know what I mean? You almost have
remember
to
back in the day when you could actually fit your hand behind the actual headlight housing and then just unscrew the bulb and put another one in?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is true. That is true. So I had a Tesla the other day. I had fun with that. I boosted a Tesla.
Yeah.
It's not a sentence I thought I'd ever say. And anyone who does Teslas is familiar with them. They are quite the strange cars. So I'll play the scenario through you and what we did. And I was pretty amazed at this. Google was my best friend. So I get to our local supercharging station that's at a hotel, and there's a Tesla sitting there. He goes, it's all locked up, like no power, dead, stone dead. The one window, they managed to open the door, but the window never dropped because it had no power so that it would clear the frame. Well, now he can't close the door. So I'm already thinking in this, oh, great. How are we going to tow this, 100 and some kilometers away to the Tesla dealer?
Probably backwards too.
No, it was backed in. It was backed in because they have to back up to the superchargers because
right.
Where the plug is. So I don't think they nose in very often to them. It forces people to back up. Might be the only thing good Tesla's doing.
Yeah.
And the window on the other side, anyways, is halfway down, and it's middle winter time. I don't think it was snowing that night, but it's middle winter time. So the car, they said they had 100-kilometer left on the range. Pulled up to the charging station. Went to plug it in, wouldn't charge. They figured it was something wrong with that charger, maybe. Went to move, the car had nothing, dead, no power. So I learned a new word this week, and it's called a frunk.
A frunk?
So on the Teslas, I read up online, we did some research. There is a 12-volt system in the Tesla. There's also their 5 million volt system, whatever it is that actually powers the motors. I don't know the battery
that'll
details.
kill you.
Yeah.
That's in the back. Wires, the stuff, the 12 volts in the front.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's inside the frunk, which is a front trunk. And I shit you not, that is Tesla's word for it, is a frunk. So start reading up. How do I get into this frunk? Well, you know where you put your eyelets in, your twist hooks? You pop that tab out, and inside that tab is 2 wires, a red and a black. Okay. You take your booster pack, and I believe this overrides the key card, everything, which is kind of scary because any thieves that know this trick don't store anything in your frunk because there's access to it. So you put the booster pack, the red on the red, black on the black, pretty self-explanatory, and the frunk pops. All it is, it's not any live wires, it is a feed. It's just 2 wires running to a switch.
An electronic trunk release.
Yeah, and whenever you hook power to it, it's electronic. So pretty genius idea. Some of these cars that lock their keys in their trunk, kind of wish they had this, wouldn't be bad to have right under the floor by the electronic trunk release, a tab you can pull off, hook 2 cables to. Anyways, pops the frunk up. From there, you can pull off some trim, and there is the 12-volt battery sitting dead center of the windshield, kind of in the wiper cowling where you would think there. Put 12-volt power to it, put the booster pack on. Sure enough, waited a minute or two. All the computers inside came back on because, like a hybrid car, you get those customers that say, well, I got the hybrid battery, it's charged. You'd think it would start the car. It's like, no, they're 2 different systems. So put the power on, tablets come on, grab the supercharger, it lights up, plugs in, car was fine. No idea what happened to it. But anyone dealing with those Teslas, and if you run into that, where the tow hook is, and this website that I found, I wish I kept the link because it explained to you exactly where to push, where it would pop out. Like those tabs are pretty self-explanatory, but at the same time, it's like push the top right corner and pull out on the bottom. Like it was very in-depth website. So whoever wrote those articles, you guys, we talked about it before, towing posts and different things, helping guys out, shifting their lock release. Whoever that guy was definitely saved me a long run at 1 o'clock in the morning with the Tesla. So I thank you.
I actually towed a Tesla the other day where the guy left his house with more than enough charge to do the trip that he was doing. And he made it where he was turning around to come back. He was 40 kilometers away, or I think he was just under 50. And the car said, you've got 50 kilometers till empty. And he was like, oh. So he made it back to the last little town, and the car said, pull over immediately and charge. And it said that he had like 5 kilometers till empty. So he pulled over and he broke out the little plug and play self-charger that plugs into a 120 that he's never used before. And it doesn't work. So now where he had to park right next to a pylon stuck down into the ground like a piece of rebar, stuck down into the ground right to the plug, like right to the back driver's tire. So it was nice and tight. And the car is dead, locked up, snow on the ground. I was like, oh, well, you've really done this for me, haven't you? So I get my wheel lift underneath of it, and I pick it up, and I drag it forward about 8 feet to be able to get my dollies underneath the back end and crack up the dolly bars and strap everything down, and I take the guy his 5 kilometers to his house. The problem is, when I get there, his charging plug is on the opposite side of the car that I need to back into. And it's on his deck. It's not next to his driveway, so it's all snow covered in his horse trail, and his truck's parked in the way. So I have to drive around on the grass with this Tesla behind me, and get my truck jimmied around. Almost fell off his driveway, and I backed up to the point where my dolly tires were damn near touching his deck to get enough room in the cable to plug the car in.
Just to get it charged for 5 minutes so he could then move it again.
Yeah, exactly.
No, the Tesla. Hey, the cars are getting harder to tow. Those Teslas are no joke, too. You know,
they're nice cars. I honestly really do like them, but when they go wrong, you're pretty much SOL.
Well, your 4-wheel lockup.
Yeah,
your 4-wheel lockup. They're heavy. They're heavy cars. I know Tesla. A couple people do towing through Tesla roadside. Which, of what I understand, thankfully are paying great, because for the amount of work that goes into them and the value of the cars, it's nice to see a company. You know, Tesla just didn't decide to go with you know what I mean, the generic roadside companies like you know, some of the manufacturers will do.
Yeah.
They kind of set up their own network and charge accordingly, which is great. Yeah, a roadside paying good. But anyways, they've really come a long way, but they want them on the beds. And when those are 4-wheel lockup and all that, there's a lot more work that goes into it. So for, you know, charge accordingly.
I even had a BMW the other day. It was completely locked in park. E-brake was locked up, and it was pulled in, nosed into its spot. And I was in the bed, and I get under there, and I was like, okay, well, I've got my skates and everything. No tow hook in the rear, nothing to hook onto in the rear, just the wishbone suspension. I was like, nothing on this car is stable enough for me to grab a hold of, to be able to drag this car into my bed with any resistance. I found one spot on each side, and I was like, okay, perfect. As long as I'm on the right angle, I can avoid the muffler, and it'll be good. I go over to the driver's side of the car, and they put a fucking sensor for the air ride right there on that side. And I was like, oh, you mother. So I was like, I was there for probably about 45 minutes trying to get the car going, trying to get it boosted, trying to get it power. I was like, I'm just going to cut my losses at this point and not cause damage and send it to a wheel lift. Unfortunately, I didn't have dollies on that flatbed that day, or else I would have done it. But it is what it is, right? Yeah. It's the fine line of where do you say, well, I can do it, but then I run the risk of causing damages.
No, it's true. We all want to be Superman. We all want to get it done. And, you know, we've all given a ribbing and taken a ribbing for not being able to do a call. All right. That happens. I think anyone out there, if you don't work in a shop with guys or girls, that'll tear you apart when you're the flatbed, you have to call a wrecker, just like when you're the wrecker and you have to call a flatbed. But at the same time, where do you draw that line? Yeah. Where is the risk just not worth the,
and especially for some of these roadsides that just don't pay to begin with. It's like there is no reward for this risk.
Yeah. So. Well, and that's the thing that brings us back to the argument of we're obviously on different areas and different scales, hourly and commission, right? A roadside driver getting paid commission on a call that he doesn't think is worth it is less likely to want to take that risk, because, you know, or is more likely to take the risk because he wants to pay. Yeah. Where an hourly driver will sit there and go, either I can do it, and if it takes too long, well, I'm still getting paid the same. Yeah. Right? Or, you know, I'm paid by the hour and I don't want to really work that hard for it. Yeah. So I'll send it to the guy that's easier. There's both ways that can go.
But the problem is sending it to the guy that's easier. If you can't do it with one truck, it's going to be a pain regardless what truck you send. Normally.
Yeah. Yeah. If the bed can't do it, the wrecker's not going to have the easiest of time. Yeah. And if the wrecker can't do it, or, you know, vice versa. Yeah. So no, it is true. But there is some times where it's just, especially these new locked in park, these Honda Pilots. I don't know if you ran into those yet. When they're dead and they won't start, they do not have a shift to neutral.
Oh.
Then there is no override that I can find. The only thing I read up was there was apparently a tool you could buy from Honda. And this is with the push button style on. This was a 2021, and it's the push button style transmissions that everything's going to. I don't know why a cable was no longer good enough.
Weight reduction.
The only cables that were crap were those Chevy trucks where they'd pop off at the transmission on the older Chevys. Every time you get one, it was so easy to crawl underneath, hook it back up. But they went to this electronic, and there's a part from Honda you can buy. What I understand, it's a couple $100, and it's something that goes on the transmission to be able to, turn a switch or whatever it is. I'm not. Once I read that it needed a tool from Honda, I just said enough of this.
Yeah.
We're not even trying, but stuff like that, man, you send the wrecker. All four wheels locked up when you can't get, nice to it on a bed. Could it be done? Sure. But why? Why all the extra work? Right? Why all the extra work? So I feel you on that one.
It's like, okay, I could break out my skates. I could break out Go Jacks, but then I'm going to have a pain to get the skates onto the lip of the bed or the Go Jacks onto the lip of the bed. And it's just then getting it off. You're shaking it.
Oh, getting it on is easy.
Get off and
yeah, getting them on is easy.
Yeah.
Right? A winch does wonderful things.
Yeah.
It's when you only have gravity and loss of friction.
Do not run a snatch block to the back of the bed and back to the car. Do not do that.
Why?
Because then you've lost all control because the parking brake does fail. That is the only thing holding the car. Now it's gone bye-bye. Right? If it was a seize brake that caused a real pain to get it up there, at least if you've got your winch cable hooked up to it normally, you've got a safety net of you while shaking it. If you ran your cable down to the length of the bed, so 20 feet, back up to the car, call it 10 feet, now you've got 10 feet of slack before you can grab anything if your hooks stay on.
You know what? I never thought about it like that. I'll be honest, never thought about it like that. I've definitely done it. I've done it like once or twice in the past, but I did recommend it to operators. I never did think of that. And, if you want to use that argument and it's valid, then you can't use the argument that you ever drive a car onto a flatbed. No. If not, you're a hypocrite, G.
Oh, no. Do people drive cars onto flatbeds? Sure, of course.
Oh, it drives me bad. It drives me mad. It drives me mad. Anyone that works with me will tell you one of my biggest pet peeves. You're towing the car for the extra time that it takes and the risk that it lowers. Right?
But does it lower risk?
Yeah, the winching a car on?
So now you've got a bridle underneath that car, pulling up with a bumper. Right?
Yeah.
And you've got a low bumper, low clearance. If you can chalk or put race ramps on that or whatever the case may be to make that approach angle to where you're not going to scrape coming up or coming off while driving the car onto the bed, great, drive it onto the bed. But if you got a winch cable up there, you're still pulling from up here down on that angle, so you are going to be pulling up on that car slightly from wherever you
but come on, if the bumper's going to touch when you're going on, right? Like if that's what you're worried about, that with the bridle, the bumper is going to touch.
Yeah.
What's the thickness of the bridle? 1/4 of an inch?
Well, it really depends on how you set it up. But if you're grabbing off the control arms,
no car that you just winch on that has a regular bumper is pulling up on the bumper unless that bumper is about to touch the actual deck. So what I'm saying is the thickness of your bridle is the only thing different. The only difference is when you're winching it on, you can see that it's about to touch. When you're driving it on, you're just going to plow the goddamn subframe into the bed.
Oh, no, I'm with you. Like, normally, I'm the one that wants to say, I'm going to winch this so I can see everything.
Yes.
I know guys who drive them on the bed for that argument I just gave you, right? I'm the type of guy where
there's not enough clearance.
Yes.
A stupid argument.
Well, it's not even so much the clearance. It's
how do you know? You're in the car. You can't see the clearance as it hits the deck.
A lot of people use the little mini J's off the transport slots on like the frame rails, right? Yeah. So your bridle is so much further back. So you're running that cable. If you're not careful, that right where your hook is could get into the bumper, right? Ooh. Like it's not the actual bump, like the bridle itself.
Oh, we have a solution to this. Our new bridles that we have have about a 4-inch long flat loop.
Mm.
You know how it's got that weird egg shaped where you hook your winch line onto it? This actually has like a, you know what you want to call it, a long link that you hook onto, which is all rated and tagged with the whole setup, but it keeps that hook away from the bumper.
Okay.
So now the only thing that is there is literally the thickness of this link. So I mean, if that touches, the car was going to touch anyways.
Yeah. Now with that, you're losing the ability to bring that closer to the headache rack now, aren't you?
Not really.
No.
2 inches, 2 inches, but we're talking about cars that this is a concern on, low cars.
Yeah.
So a low car, that 2-3 inches that I'm going to lose is not going to affect any weight balance or anything on the truck, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking, the 2500s, 3500s, where you can't hook your bridle on the control arms, you have to go back to the cross member, because if you go to the control arms, you'll run out of winch and the truck's not on the deck yet. With 21 footers at least. Imagine if you go shorter. So yeah, no, but this is cars, right? So you're really, unless you're trying to fit 2 on your 21-foot deck because you got a smart car or something to go with it, it's not going to bug you.
You got a wheel lift. I'd rather wheel lift it than see 2 cars on the bed.
Yeah, I'd be interested with that one. I mean, I'm putting 2 on the bed. I hate wheel lifts on flatbeds. I love wheel lifts. I hate flatbeds. You know what I hate more than flatbeds? Wheel lifts on flatbeds.
Why?
Just when you come out of a wrecker, I think, and how simple and easy it is with a wrecker, and then these beds, the spoons are in weird places. You got, unless you're running wireless lights, you got to go out and get your wireless lights. The ones that we're running, the NRCs, don't have the Vulcan strapless system, so you're used to running it. Just everything
Most beds don't run the Vulcan scoops.
I've seen some.
Well, the main thing is you don't have your tilt, right? And that tilt is the only thing that makes Vulcan viable, because you gain your clearance back on your oil pan, right?
Well, no, all wheel lifts are what?
Well, it tilts by itself when you raise up your wheel lift on the bed. But on a Vulcan wrecker, you tilt first before you bring it up, so you gain clearance on that oil pan or whatever you're picking up. With standard L arms, you can get a lot tighter of a pick on the bottom of the tire, so you don't have to worry about the clearance underneath the car the same.
Oh, well, I've never used the actual standard L arms. We run the, I don't know, I haven't. I ran NRCs. Every flatbed that I believe every flatbed for the most part that I've ever driven was an NRC.
You lucky bastard.
No, because their wheel lifts are kind of stupid.
No, but they can pick like a mother.
Yeah, they can pick like a mother. We're running 20 TB, so 20-ton wheel lifts on 10,000, like on 10 dB flatbeds.
Well, I'm pretty sure the wheel lift on those is like 7,500 pounds fully retracted, or 8,000 pounds fully retracted.
I'd have to go look at the tag.
Which is badass. I would love to have one of those.
The wheel lift is so overrated for the, not so overrated, it's built with a purpose.
You can pick full-size school buses with nothing on the bed.
Yeah, well, the problem is the truck won't handle it. The chassis,
put it on a chassis that will.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it.
You just got to spec the truck out.
Yeah,
correctly.
well, and that comes down to it. It's what you want that truck to do, what you need that truck to do, right? We talked about front axles last week. It's, there is purposes for it, and it's how, it's one thing to have a flat, there's been 2 different sides we've seen to it. I've seen companies where we want a flatbed that can do everything. And other companies go, no, we need a flatbed so that we can spec it heavier because this is where we're lacking.
Yeah.
Right. And those things come into what kind of configurations you're going to set up. It's going to come into a lot about what I want to talk about today. Aluminum, steel, what you're, speccing out that truck to be that unit that you need.
Yeah. Like, right? I like tools that can do multi things, right? Let's say you get a 10 TB flatbed or even a 10 series on a standard Freightliner chassis. You're good for 9,000 pounds on your rear axle, roughly on average.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, if you're running a 20 TB to get full potential out of that bed, you need to go a tandem axle or something with a lift axle. Just to be able to use what that bed is capable for, because the weight of the truck, the weight of the bed unit, you're still only going to probably have that 10, maybe 11,000 pound carrying capacity on that bed, or else you're going over your rear axle weight.
No, we've spec'd one out recently that's got about a 14,000 pound allowance on
What's
a single
your rear
axle
rated?
I have to pull the numbers off it.
Because
that's our initial spec back. So I'm just the messenger on that one, but it's about 14,000 pound cargo
Because isn't
capacity.
in Ontario, no matter how big your axle is, you're only allowed 22,000 pounds per axle?
I don't know. You should probably check these things up before bringing them up. You should probably do some research on it because I'm not going to argue with you on
I
it. 'Cause
think
I'm
it's
not
22,000. I think the ass end of our one truck that we had that had 23,000 axle under it, but it still can only be a 22 because that's the legal limit, I think.
I don't know. Do your research. If you're listening and you know the answer to G's question, TowManG's question of the week. Is there a maximum allowable weight on a rear axle?
I know there is.
Of a single axle in Ontario. If you know the answer, enter now for your chance to win a sticker. We gotta get. I don't have stickers yet, but we'll get stickers if somebody answers that question.
You put us on the spot again.
And they turn out to be correct. They can have a sticker.
We've been shooting the breeze for about 30 minutes here, and we haven't talked about anything we've wanted to.
It's one of those episodes. Gee, it's one of those episodes. People love the stories. I got a message. I think it was a comment on the YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. I should actually pull that open to find it, but it was mentioning, I'm glad to see you guys up in Canada deal with the same things we do down here in the States. Love to hear
Cooter
it.
Towman.
Yeah. Cooter Towman. No, that wasn't Cooter. No, this is a different guy, I think.
Pretty sure Cooter just messaged the page too. Shout out to you. Pretty sure.
Shout out to me.
No, shout out to Cooter.
Oh, shout out to Cooter. Yeah, see, I can't play the video because the audio will play and pick up on the recording right now. To read the comments.
That's the problem. I can't go to my own the actual page because it'll just start playing a video. Yeah.
The joys of technology while we try and record this. We have not fully figured it out.
No.
But no, I don't know. At this point, I don't even want to get into what we got covered. We're having such good story time, G.
Yeah, but we should take a moment.
On behalf of all of us at the Towing Life podcast, Wally Duperon, who was the founder of Mission Towing out in Mission, BC, passed earlier the last week, I guess, by the time this comes out. He was towing since 1954. And the founder of Mission Towing. If you guys watch the Heavy Rescue 401, you've definitely, not Heavy Rescue, Highway Through Hell. You will see them on there, the Mission Towing, the Duperon family. I'm pronouncing it the French way. I could be wrong too. But anyways, we want to pass on our condolences to that family. Anytime you lose a legendary tower who has been, great grandfather of a fourth generation, I believe it was, it's definitely a loss on the industry. So
he's been towing longer than most of us have been alive. So
yep. So we are thankful to make it through every day. Wally Senior definitely had a lot of those days, and our condolences to the family.
Yes, we'll get the change from here, Wally.
Not really. You were really looking a way to bring down my mood today, G. That definitely did it.
Hey, you were the one that brought it up first.
Absolutely. So
it is something important to say, so it's part of the show, right?
That's fair. Gee, you ever use synthetic rope?
Yes.
Have you?
Yes.
When?
I have a synthetic rope cable from Yankum Ropes.
Okay, you're just talking about like one that you put on your personal Dodge pickup on the hitch there, like a double on a rope. I'm talking about winch line.
Okay.
I'm talking about winch cable.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've ever used it. I've used both. I've used the steel and I've used the synthetic. Holy crap, do I love this synthetic.
Yeah.
I used it back when I went away for it forever, came back to it, and especially with flatbeds. I know it's available on heavy wreckers. I've seen it out on rotators. I've seen a lot on flatbeds. I don't know if they make it for a 3/8 or for like your standard, or a 7/16 for your standard record.
No.
Your 4500, your 801s, 802s, 804s, 806s. I don't know if they make it for that. But I've seen it on the heavy, so I imagine it's possible. But this stuff, if you haven't used it, there is pros and cons. I went right to the great people at BA Products because they have all the links I was looking for and stats and numbers I was looking for on these products, and they sell both of them.
Yeah.
A 3/8 synthetic rope winch line with self-locking hook. And if you've never used the self-locking hook, oh man, those are great. Those are the ones you push one way and open.
See, I really like the ones that have the little lever on the back. The push button ones, I hate it because they always seem to freeze up.
They freeze up a bit. But these 3/8 lines, 5 pounds is the weight of the entire. This is for let's do 100 footer. 7 pounds is what it weighs. 7 pounds. And it's got a working load limit of 4,100 pounds.
4,100.
Yeah. You go over to the wire rope assembly with self-locking swivel hook fiber core. So 3/8, 100 feet. It doesn't actually give the weight of the item. I'm going to guess it's more than 7 pounds. And it's only good for $37.80.
Yeah.
So right away, we've got a couple 100 pounds higher working load limit. Which, you get 250 in a 3-to-1 ratio. You're at some, ultimate load. We don't ever get to ultimate load, hopefully. But
the possibility's there. Just
the possibility is there. We've been there before. So it's lighter. It's stronger. It is great to work with. But it has one major flaw. You cannot cowboy that cable. What I mean by that is you definitely have to watch out for sharp edges. You definitely are not using a J hook as a snatch block, and as cringy as it is for me to say that, I've seen it done. I have seen it done with steel cable where a guy will hook the cable or the chain onto the bed slot and use the J hook as a snatch block.
We had a bridle that snapped in half. It was old and dumb. Anyways, I left the one side up there just with the little mini J on it, so I could throw that to the center and either pull the winch cable towards me to be able to take it down, or just to help try to guide it in straight. It was actually pretty nice. But,
I use this rope. I know there's some weird loading when you first spool it. You almost have to stretch it, like you really have to get the tension on it. Yeah. But once it gets to its spot, I mean, I did one the other day. You pull out all your rope. It was in the median of a 400 highway, so we're going to play in the snow, and you just pull it out and just grab your hook and throw it. It's like a fishing line, right? So easy to work with, right? And it spools up nicely. And imagine pulling out all that cable and then trying to throw it in the ditch and everything spun and twisted and kinked, and the rope doesn't kink. If you are really stuck in an emergency and you snap it, if you went to Boy Scouts, if you have a rule or two on how to tie a good knot, you can tie it back up. It's been done on the side of recoveries where something has gone wrong. It got nicked, it got cut, right? It's not your scrap haulers type of cable, that's for sure.
See, I think that's my problem is you see all these beautiful trucks and beautiful equipment posted on Facebook or whatever, but most
on
of
our
these
page,
trucks,
our light duty warriors, our heavy duty warriors,
all our photos that we get of most of these trucks are single operator trucks, right? They're skilled, they know what the hell they're doing, and they take care of their equipment. In a company where these are the trucks, you hop in this one, you hop in that one, no one gives a fuck about it. So having this equipment that is delicate but does the job really well, in certain circumstances, I really think that it's good. But in others, it's just, if you're in a pinch all the time and you need to do things outside of the regular bun to where you will be putting that cable in some sketchy situations to begin with, I personally think I would rather stick with the steel. Yeah.
That's fair. All I know, one of our beds has steel on it. And I had somebody this morning bird nest it. And I mean, it was a good one. It was a good one. So we tried to get to the bottom of what exactly happened. I don't really know. I just remember I'm up on there. You've got your pry barks. You got to peel layers back around each other. Yeah. And I'm telling the guy who runs the truck, I'm like, winch out. And he starts going. And I said out. He's like, I am. I was like, man, we flipped it. Oh, yeah, we flipped the thing. It's, well, somehow how it got bird nested, whoever bird nested it, literally got to the point it flipped. It wasn't a very long winch line on it. But you know what? That doesn't happen with synthetic rope. It doesn't. So I stand by, but I definitely get your point, right? If you got a bunch of, it depends on the company, kind of, not reputation, but the pride and the standards that are within the company. I think on if it can be, makes sense to have. It's the same thing with, I want to get into it more. I wasn't planning on telling these many stories today, so we will touch on it again. Like we did last time, we'll kick the can down the line a little farther.
Yeah.
But the steel versus aluminum beds, it's the same thing, right? We can go over numbers and, aluminum is lighter. They claim it's not as strong. Okay. Right. I've seen aluminum decks rated pretty goddamn high.
Yeah.
And, a lighter deck, which means more cargo. You know what I mean? More, when we talk about numbers, more ability to play, no rust, but again, an aluminum bed, you need to be cautious with, because a steel bed, that car's got no wheel, drag it.
Yeah.
All you're going to do is scratch one of the 7 layers of Tremclad you've thrown on that truck in the last 5 years. All it's going to do. Aluminum, you're going to gouge it. It's going to dig. And you do that over and over and over and over again, and that bed is going to go to hell real fast. But if you take care of that aluminum bed and you baby that, I have seen beds 20 some years old that you can't tell other than they're faded. And, find me a steel bed that's, more than 10 years old that doesn't look like a piece of shit.
Yeah, steel beds are going to look like crap. You got to redo them, or at least give them a fresh coat of paint almost every year to keep them looking good.
Yeah, especially with the tires rubbing on it and all that stuff. Yeah, 100%.
I personally like steel myself, just because I like my things to be multi-purposed, and having built up strong things when you're doing things outside of the bun is personally my forte.
But where? Like, what are you going to do that you can't do with an aluminum bed with a little bit of finesse?
Nothing you can't do. It's just you can be more, I don't want to say aggressive.
Aggressive? That's exactly what you want to say, is you can be a little more draggy, hacky wacky.
Yeah, like get the fucking thing done instead of passing the call on to the next. Like,
we're gonna pass the call on. You just got.
I'll tell you a story. We had our aluminum bed moving a horse trailer, and where he dropped this horse trailer off, he got the back tires down, and it was a gooseneck horse trailer. And as the landing gear was coming down, right where that landing gear came down on, I think on the passenger side, the ground said, "No, I don't want to be here anymore," and it dropped. And when it dropped, it put like a 4-inch gouge right in the center of the bed, like right through the bed. Like you could see daylight right through it.
She pinned her like a Ford in an accident.
Yeah, like, you don't have a gooseneck hitch? Well, I'm going to give you one, bud. So
that's just the new hole for the side puller.
Yeah. And I feel like if we had a steel bed, I might have dented it, but I don't think it would have went right through, because the horse trailer wasn't, it was an old POS horse trailer, and I think it would have broke the horse trailer before it broke the steel deck.
Yeah,
but
you might not be wrong on that.
It's not an apples to apples comparison, because obviously it happened to the aluminum bed, so I'm not going to reload that horse trailer on a steel bed and try it again just to see if that one's going to hold up any better.
Well, there's no doubt it would have the steel would have a better impact rating, right? Like you could definitely.
But it's the same thing with like Ford's new aluminum boxes, aluminum trucks. They're a lot easier to dent than it is steel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Repair cost is definitely something for the flatbed you have to take in mind if you do, gouge it or, plate it. There's pros and cons for both on that, right? The steel, like you said, you're constantly maintaining it. You need to give it a good, it's one thing just to slap some paint on it. It's another thing to give it a good sanding, the wire brush, everything across everywhere, the cross members, everything. But, just like that, there's a cost that goes into that. That cost is less with the aluminum, but more expensive to repair if you drop a horse trailer through it.
And that's just the thing. Anyone with a steel bed and a can of black spray paint can make that bed looking pretty decent again in an afternoon. Good luck making your aluminum bed look decent again in an afternoon, especially if it has had a bit of war wounds put to it.
I gotta admit though, like I said, we've got one truck in our fleet, and I can't remember the year of that thing. I want to say it's an 05. Old.
Pre-def and everything.
Oh yeah. Great truck. It's died 100 times and come back to life. But the bed on it, I want to say is either from before 2005. I kind of think it was, Can't remember if it was before or if they got a new one when they got a truck. I can't remember, but it's an old bed on it. Hey, even 05. That's
I'm pretty sure they started coming out with aluminum beds in 2000.
Yeah, well, that's like a 17-year-old bed.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks in better shape than a 3-year-old steel deck, right? I think it's got a couple patch plates on it. It's got 1 or 2 patch plates on it, and well, properly done. It's not, what the hell's the point of it? And that little flatbed is a workhorse. So it outworks all the new stuff. It's amazing how much the thing hasn't died, but it is the aluminum bed. And like I said, it's just you would not see that, I don't think, with a steel bed. It would be on a second bed by now.
Yeah.
At best, it would be on a second bed, possibly a third. I think it's on like a third transmission. It might as well be on a third bed. Could be a fourth one. I don't know. That thing is, like I said, it's died 100 times and came back to life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most uncomfortable.
We'll get into more of the steel versus aluminum in the next episode. I feel like we've touched on it, but I don't think we've done it actual justice. Yeah. So we'll touch again on that probably. And that gives
you guys a chance. Get your opinions in on it, right? What are you rocking? Steel, aluminum? Pros and cons. What's your points? Well, maybe if when we do it next episode, we'll try to get in a little bit, see what we get through social media. Yeah. Everything else, we'll put some stuff out. But yeah, what are you rocking? Steel, aluminum, synthetic rope, or steel rope? I'm aluminum and synthetic rope. Man, I feel fancy, but goddamn, the upfront cost is definitely more. That's the other thing we aren't comparing, because I am on the Great Folks at BA Products website. We don't actually see the pricing because they're the manufacturer on it. We'd have to check through your local retailers. But I know the synthetic rope, if I'm not mistaken, comes with a quite a bit heftier price tag to start.
Heftier price tag, and it's not as durable under more circumstances.
So you can see where that would turn a lot of people away from it, 100%. But if you're willing to spend the money and you're willing to take the care with it, I promise you, she will not lead you wrong.
See, I like to have everything idiot proofed because I'm somewhat of an idiot myself.
I agree.
And all this real fancy stuff that's easily breakable is not always idiot proof. And we're idiot proofing the world slowly, and the towing industry is moving along with it. Maybe potentially with some of these new idiot proof cars, it's making our jobs harder, which a little bit less idiot proof. But hey, look at the Carvana guys.
Yeah.
So those guys have 2 levers on their trucks. Some of them, they don't even have a winch. They got a bed backwards, a bed tilt. And that's it.
Yeah. What is that? That's those drop-off car.
Yeah, the new thing.
About?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of them and them getting stuck, and we'll talk about those guys a little bit more in the next episode, probably when we get a couple of pictures put in the bank.
Yeah,
but
I'm just reading. I just want to point out this synthetic rope also floats.
Yeah, it does.
I am reading website, and it floats on water. I mean, so if you do a lot of water recoveries, in all fairness, I don't know who's buying the synthetic rope just.
But if you are, feel free to give us a call at 249-666-2209 or emailing us at thetowinglife@gmail.com or by searching The Towing Life Podcast on Facebook. Or you can visit our website, www.towinglife.ca.
I'm glad that you have all that, G. I am glad that you have.
Yeah, well, we're over time, man. We gotta get.
We're over time. All right, we better get
we
going.
Have to let all these fine folks go this week.
But it floats on water, G. It floats on water.
I know it floats on water, but we gotta float on down the river if we just keep kicking the can to the next episode.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you for checking out. G has already dropped all the links, and if you haven't already, be sure to check us out on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. On behalf of myself, on behalf of G, we'll see you next time.
Toodles.
Take care.